Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. If you're a focused learner trying to figure out exactly how the highest levels of an organization are supposed to handle artificial intelligence, well, you're in the right place. Today, we're unpacking the top-down approach that's absolutely required for AI governance. We're going to define top management's responsibilities when it comes to AI compliance, look at strategy integration, resource allocation, and exactly how you need to document leadership engagement so it actually stands up to a rigorous audit. So let's get right to it. Okay, let's dive into this. I want to put you in the hot seat for a second. Imagine your organization's AI system fails. Let's say it hallucinates some critical financial data, or maybe it leaks sensitive customer information, or causes a massive security breach. Who actually takes the fall for that? Now, historically, organizations would just point the finger at the lead developer, right? Or maybe the data science team or the IT department. But honestly, under modern compliance standards, that excuse just doesn't fly anymore. The answer is top management. Yep, the folks at the very top. Under the ISO/IEC 4201-2023 standard, an AI failure is no longer just an IT problem. It is a board-level leadership accountability issue. The standard makes it explicitly clear. Executive leadership is directly responsible for making sure AI systems are developed, deployed, and managed responsibly and securely. It is a massive paradigm shift. Here's our roadmap for today. First, the AI leadership imperative. Second, integrating strategy in AI. Third, allocating the right resources. Fourth, documenting leadership engagement. And finally, number 5, dashboards and meeting minutes. Starting off with Section 1, the AI leadership imperative. So the really crucial point here is understanding this pivot away from the old way of doing things. Traditional IT governance was often super siloed, kind of shoved into a basement server room. It was reactive to problems and strictly focused on the tech. But ISO 42001 AI governance, it's strategic, it's top-down, and it is fully integrated into the corporate culture. The standard recognizes that AI isn't just another piece of software. It makes decisions that can seriously impact operational integrity, data privacy, and overall corporate trust. And that level of impact, it requires leadership that actively promotes responsible AI use and makes it a core pillar of the organization's identity. Section 2, integrating strategy and AI. Strategic alignment is basically your North Star for AI governance. It means making sure your AI projects support your long-term business objectives, but doing so without ever undermining stakeholder trust or your ethical principles. Leadership literally cannot just greenlight an AI project just because it cuts costs or speeds things up. They have to ask the hard questions. Does this align with our risk appetite? Does it comply with regulations like GDPR? If an AI system boosts profits but violates data privacy laws, well, leadership has completely failed in their strategic alignment duties. So how do leaders actually execute this in the real world? Well, the source material gives us a very specific to-do list. First up, they've got to develop and maintain a comprehensive information security policy that sets the ground rules for AI management. Second, they have to formally define and communicate AI roles. So think establishing an AI governance committee or maybe naming an AI risk officer. Third, they need to prioritize risk-based actions. That means actively assessing threats like cyber attacks or model drift and mandating ways to mitigate them. And finally, they must set clear, measurable objectives for continuous improvement. It's a very structured, formal approach to strategy. Section 3, allocating the right resources. Let's move to the next logical step and see how this builds. Because leadership commitment isn't just talk, right? It's budget. The standard absolutely requires executives to allocate the resources needed to actually support the AI management system. Step 1 starts with identifying the scope and your infrastructure needs. Step 2 is carving out the financial budget for the right tools, things like encryption tech or compliance testing software. But step 3 is honestly arguably the most critical, assigning and training competent personnel. The sources go heavy on this idea of AI literacy. Leadership has to invest in training programs so that their entire workforce, from the data scientists down to the HR folks, understands AI risks and compliance guidelines. You simply can't have a compliance system without a competent, highly trained team running the show. Section 4, documenting leadership engagement. I want you to think about this as the proof of life analogy. In the world of ISO auditing, if it isn't documented, it simply didn't happen. Just supporting AI governance in spirit or chatting about it at the water cooler is completely insufficient. An auditor needs documented, indisputable proof of active engagement from top management. Documentation is literally your shield during an audit. It takes all those abstract leadership concepts and turns them into concrete, verifiable evidence. And this quote brilliantly illustrates that exact need for traceability. Straight from the source text. Documentation provides a record of leadership's actions, decisions, and commitments, serving as proof of compliance. You see, when an AI system encounters a problem, and it will, an auditor wants to trace that initial strategic decision all the way back to a specific leadership meeting. They want to see the why. Why was a certain risk accepted? Why was a specific budget allocated?
Section 5. Dashboards and meeting minutes. Now, you might think meeting minutes are just, administrative busy work, but under ISO 42001, they are absolute gold. The minutes of your executive meetings have to explicitly capture specific discussions. You need a written record of leadership actively debating strategic alignment. You need proof they looked at the risk assessments. You need to show them setting objectives and reviewing KPIs. And, super crucially, you need documentation showing their involvement in incident management and corrective actions. If an AI model starts drifting or it fails a security check, those meeting minutes better show that leadership was informed and that they mandated a fix. Now, what's really interesting about this executive dashboard mockup is how it visualizes the flow of data right to top management. Listen, leadership shouldn't be digging through raw Python code, right? They should be reviewing high-level metrics, AI model accuracy, security incident reports, resource utilization. But just having the dashboard isn't the whole story. Look at the right column, leadership action required. That is the secret sauce. Documenting that leadership reviewed this specific dashboard, saw a drop in model accuracy, and then ordered the team to retrain the system, well, that is exactly the kind of concrete, hands-on engagement an auditor is looking for. And that ties perfectly into the core ISO principle of continuous improvement. Look, AI isn't a slow cooker. It's not set it and forget it. Models evolve, data changes, new risks pop up literally every day. By documenting leadership's ongoing, continuous interactions with these dashboards and performance metrics, you prove to an auditor that your executives are actually steering the ship. They're adapting to new data, and they're constantly refining the AI management system to make sure it's safer and more effective. I really want to highlight this single number right here, Clause 5. In the ISO/ISO 42001-2023 standard, Clause 5 is entirely 100% dedicated to leadership. Everything we've discussed today, from writing up an AI governance policy to reviewing those risk dashboards, it's not just a nice-to-have best practice recommendation. It is literally written into the code of the standard. Without demonstrable, documented leadership commitment, achieving compliance is, well, it's fundamentally impossible. Which leaves us with one final, absolutely critical question to ponder today. Is your leadership team ready for the audit? Are they fully aware that the accountability for an AI failure rests squarely on their shoulders? And maybe more importantly, do you have the exact documentation needed to prove their active strategic engagement? It's a high-stakes environment out there, for sure. But with the right governance playbook, it's totally manageable. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. I really hope this gave you a clear, structured understanding of what's required at the highest levels of AI governance. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.